What did we just witness? The Golden State Warriors just beat our San Antonio Spurs again in a close game, again, after we didn't execute properly down the stretch, again. We're going to discuss it all here on Spurs Digest with your host, Keenan Warner. And, guys, let's just get into it, 108 to 109. The game on Wednesday, you look back at it, there are certain aspects of that, the 125 to 120, I believe the loss was. There are aspects of that game where you look and you're like, oh, okay, there was bad shot taking, there was some referee stuff that maybe you didn't love. Today, today self-inflicted, 100% self-inflicted, and today, we didn't have the best player on the floor on Wednesday, but we definitely didn't have the best player on the floor on Friday, and that was the difference in this game. 109 to 108. The third quarter, we got blitzed 43 to 28 in the third quarter on Wednesday. We won the third quarter today. We got off to a little bit of a lead. It was a nip and tuck game, back and forth, all game long. And we were playing good. And down the stretch of the game, there's so much to talk about here. Down the stretch of the game, I was actually happy for a small portion of what we were doing. I was like, wait, what? What? We're actually semi-executing. Wemby hits the three off of the De'Aaron Fox pass, and it's 92 to 100. And then from that point on, the Warriors outscore us 17 to 8. Just not going to get it done. So I did a pregame before and was talking about this team, and we are pretty much consistent across the board in a lot of aspects when it comes to the way our statistical breakdowns going to look game in and game out. Today's looked pretty much the same. Field goal percentage a little down from where we normally are. 3-point percentage about the same. Free throw percentage a little higher, but good for us. Win the rebounding battle. We assist the ball at a pretty high level. Today, going in, it was fouls and turnovers. The fouls we did keep down. It was 16 to 18, and it was 16 to 19 on free throws. We can deal with that. We can absolutely deal with that fact that we shot the same amount of free throws. That's perfectly fine. Obviously, we had more point in the paint, but the Warriors were getting to the paint more. It was 32 to 40 rather than 22 to 52. But fouls, we're able to keep those fouls down. The turnovers were killer. We had turnovers at the most inopportune times, and we had turnovers from people we didn't need to have turnovers from. But let's talk about our box score here for a second. No one had more than 4. Castle turned the ball over more today, was not distributing at the same level. De'Aaron Fox played a very good 3 quarters. Played a really good 3 quarters. We'll talk about his fourth, but played a really good 3 quarters. I really liked the way he was aggressive. He was getting downhill. He was making shots. He was keeping the Warriors at bay, no pun intended. But he was the ability to keep the Warriors down. It was okay. And then Wemby, he was playing pretty well. The team overall wasn't playing a bad game. We also didn't play a bad game today. There are aspects of the game where we just didn't execute. You don't lose by 1 point and play a bad game, typically. You play a decent to end game. You can play not your best game, and we didn't play our best game. But we weren't bad. We shot, again, we didn't shoot poorly from the 3-point line. We turned the ball over a little bit too much, but it was at the position in where we turned the ball over in the moments in which we did that were so pivotal. This team, this time, got curried is what happened. This happened down the stretch, but first thing we're going to talk about this. We got curried. He had 46, 5, and 5 in the first game. He had 49 points, 4 rebounds, and made 9 threes. 9 of them. And what happened was In the second half, especially, the first half, he was getting shots in the rhythm, in the flow of the offense, and the shots that he was making was keeping the Warriors within reach and distance and keeping them within the game. The third quarter gets going on, and then Steph gets hot. And when he is hot and he is rolling, he was getting whatever he wanted to get. It didn't matter if it was off of a miss, off of a make, off of a long rebounds. And there's nothing more demoralizing. There's nothing more battering to your heart of a fan watching than a rebound coming off an offensive rebound. You kick out for Steph and it's a three. That's such a back-breaking play. Happened a couple times in that third quarter. Then the fourth quarter happens. And he's cooking. And then we start doubling him properly. And GP2 hits a three. Brandon Pajemski hits a three. They get downhill. They get to the basket. They went on a 9-0 run to make it 101-100, I believe the score was. And then that was when it was a back and forth fest. And then it negated this. 107-108. Wemby missed a jump shot. I don't mind that. Steph, great defense to this all-time great block when it comes to situation time. There's no one else maybe who's ever played basketball who reaches for a steal and then blocks the shot with his other hand. Reaches and, block. No one can do that. And I was like, oh, that's going to be the play of the game. And then, no. Then, now, we can get to this. This is De'Aaron Fox's last 2 minutes of the game. Bad pass turnover. Miss floater. Miss jumper. Foul Steph, who calmly hits 2 free throws to go from down 1 to up 1, as you would expect, the greatest free throw shooter we've ever seen. And then a missed pull-up 18-footer for the game. And then this. Sorry, not that. This. And I really want to talk about this last play. But we're going to watch this here and then just one off. I thought it was hopeful it was going to roll in. But why are we running this play specifically for De'Aaron Fox? I understand that he is the clutch player of the year a few years back, and he's a guard, can get downhill, but there is a reason why the bad pass, miss floater, pull-up jumper, miss jumper, and the foul on Steph, all of that happened in the final minute and 50 seconds and some change, and we watched it all. Watching this, I don't know if anybody else was like, yes, let's give the ball to De'Aaron Fox in this situation. I was like, hey, how can we get Victor Wembanyama the basketball with 6 seconds left? Because getting him downhill, getting him to just go into the teeth of the defense was most likely going to lead to a foul, and he could make 2 free throws to win the game, 1 to at least tie it. But right here on this play, we run a little pin-off screen for him over here. We run a little pin-off screen for him here. Like, hey, okay, yep, it's Castle to try to get the switch. They switch it great on the backside. Because they wanted Draymond on Wemby. I don't care. I really don't. I apologize. I know that Victor Wembanyama was getting guarded by Draymond Green, and Draymond Green's a really good defender. That's cool. We saw all night Wemby, at times, we saw him jawing in the paint, and then Wemby, I don't know why they didn't count that lob dunk. That was insane. We saw him jawing in the paint, and then what happened? Lob goes up from Stephon Castle, and he little boys Draymond. He's a foot taller than the guy. I don't care. Get the ball to Wemby And just clear out that side after that screen. The Warriors did a good job of making sure they didn't get the mismatch on Wemby. But just clear out that side. You keep Fox back there in case, but look for him. They didn't even look like they cared to look for Wemby on that play. They just said, right here, it was like oh, no, he's not wide open, let's do that. And then I can't even be mad at De'Aaron Fox. It was 6 seconds and you got the ball at the free throw line in the back court. I hated that. Hated that. And I understand if you're going to want De'Aaron Fox there, you want to get Fox downhill so he can get to his spot. But get the ball to Wemby in that spot. Or run a little two-man game with Wemby and Fox. They were trying to do that earlier in the game, and they were getting some decent action on it. Julian Champagnie got hot off a couple of those actions with some shots in the corner. Then obviously he hit the one in transition afterwards that led to a timeout. But there's just so many different ways that last play could have gone, and I don't know what we were doing. But what this game came down to, again, was the late game execution from the Golden State Warriors in comparison to the late game execution of the San Antonio Spurs. The Golden State Warriors looked like a veteran team that has been in this situation hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of times, and the San Antonio Spurs looked like a new team that hadn't been in this situation many times. That's just what happened. Steph Curry got hot, and then off of that, they're like, oh, wait, you're gonna guard and double Steph Curry and force the ball out of his hands? Okay, we'll have guys who make big shots at big moments, rotate the ball, and we'll be getting a good to great shot every single possession. And down the stretch for the Spurs, what was it? It was trying to get a little bit of pick and roll action, two-man game with De'Aaron Fox and Wemby, but they were zoning a bit, and then they were also kind of trying to change out of that too. That led to a couple good plays, but that was even more towards the beginning and the mid of the fourth quarter. Late fourth quarter, the offense became stagnant. The way we were moving the ball was not the same. This team is not the same in transition or in fast break and transition compared to half court. We love to get in that fast break. We love to get out and running because we are young, you're youthful, we're athletic. And we're just not the greatest half-court team right now, and that's where people are getting really upset with Mitch Johnson and don't like Mitch Johnson, because the sets that we are running are not great. We're not getting our best players in the best situation to succeed at the highest of levels. And unfortunately, again, that cost us 2 games against the Golden State Warriors, to where now in the Cup standings, we're third, fine, and it's a point differential thing, and not that we can't still win it. We go 3-1. We beat Denver. We beat Houston. We already beat Houston. We beat Denver. We beat Portland. Get to 3-1. We'll be just fine, and then we just need to make sure when we beat Portland, we can just dog walk Portland. That'd be really the goal. Portland's decent, but we have the ability to dog walk them. That Denver game's gonna be tough, but. Late game execution, we're going to have to fix it. And I'm glad that we're in situations like this now, because we're a young team that still has playoff aspirations, of course, and it's just 2 games. We're not going to just fall out of, now we can't even make a playoff. We can't even make a play-in. We're getting to the playoffs this year. Speaking that there, we're getting to the playoffs this year. And we're going to be in moments like this. And we've got to figure out the best ways to overcome them. And playing against a team like the Warriors, who we could see in the first round, we could be a 3-6 matchup, and the Warriors are 6, we're the 3. Or opposite, it doesn't really make a difference, whatever the Spurs are, but it could be a 3-6 matchup. We see Golden State. We can go back to these games and what did they do late game? They got their best player the ball, and they worked off of their best player. And then after that, they have a secondary option in Jimmy Butler, who was really good and is a really good closer. We need to get our best players the ball and then work off of that and get them in the right situations. Wemby was 3 of 8 from 3, and one thing I want to mention before we get out of here, and I really want to hear all your guys' thoughts on this. One thing I want to mention before we get out of here is I mentioned in last video that obviously Wemby's 11 of 25 from 3 over the last 3 games prior to last night. He was 3 of 8 last night, and I was saying that I don't love him taking 8 to 9 threes a game. Yes, I understand if he's going to make those threes, for sure, take threes when you're hot and when you're rolling, but don't look for it. It seems like his start shot point is starting to fade a bit. And that was where when we were scariest is when Wemby is dominating on the inside, because every possession, if you could look at teams and be like, hey, what's the Wemby shot that you guys would be the most happy with? It would be a contested 3-point shot. And those are happening more often. They don't want him inside. They're scared of him inside. They're scared of him in the paint. He is a freaky long athletic athlete that no one's ever seen. He's literally an alien, as we know. So that's it. It's not that I don't want him taking threes or he's not able to take threes. Obviously, take threes. He's a very good 3-point shooter, especially for being a guy of that size. It's just I don't want him to fall in love with the 3 again and shoot 9 a game, because as he is shooting very well over the last 3 games, in this game he was 3 of 8, he isn't 2015 Steph Curry, who shot 9 threes a game in his first MVP season. But let me know what you guys think in the comments here about this San Antonio Spurs team. Another devastating loss. I mean, what did we really just witness in the game? I want you to tell me. This is Spurs Digest with your host, Keenan Warner. I appreciate all of you guys, and I'll be seeing you guys again very soon.